time, tack time, all the time. Come on, tack time, all the time, tack time, all the time. Come on, I take a knee, I take a kid and make him see, make him believe in chasing his dreams and destiny. Truly accept the knowledge, a part of the recipe. In order to have an impact, I first must invest in me. We sowing seeds, locally, globally, overseas. Integrity, dignity, yeah, we living by both of these. The season my players had to take a knee to COVID these. The police keep taking knees on our neck, how we supposed to breathe. Now look at me, I'm leading the movement like Booker T. Let's look at the aftermath of when Kaepernick took a knee. When MLK took a march, Coretta Scott took a seat. I look defeat in the eyes and I declare victory. I'm fourth and long, I go for the gusto, that's six for me. Right when I cross the TD, I drop down and I take a knee. I'm giving God all the glory for giving the grace to me. Like I take a knee every morning and thank Him for waking me.
Hey. Yeah. Welcome everybody on this nice Wednesday night at the UBN studio with Tony Sweet. Whoa. James Winslow, we're here to make things happen tonight, kind of share what we've been doing with the project and just our groups. But more importantly, our guest tonight is going to be able to come out here today, guys, and drop some seeds. We're going to nurse those things and watch it harvest. That's the plan, guys. That's the plan. But first and foremost, I want to introduce Coach Ty with our project, and he's going to touch base on what we're doing out there at Winter Circle.
Hey, good morning. Good afternoon, actually. Good evening. My name is Coach Ty. I'm with Project. We run our program at Winter Circle Athletics in Corona. We have Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays there. We have linebackers, offensive linemen, and defensive linemen specific position training. So we run that Tuesday, Thursdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 in the morning till about 11:30, 11:45. What it is, we train each position. Coach Coco coaches our linebackers. We have a core group of youth and high school linebackers that come through our program, and Coach Asora and myself, Coach Keanu, Coach Mia, and Coach Joe, we handle the line. So offensive lineman and defensive lineman. So that's what we basically have at Winter Circle Athletics here in Corona, California, with Project Elite.
Awesome. Thank you, Ty. And then also we do some work out at Los Alamitos, and Coach Cesar is going to touch base on what we're doing out there.
Hey, how you guys doing? Yeah, so we're doing pretty much what we're doing at Winter Circle is what we're doing at Los Alamitos with the O-line, D-line, and linebacker. And then we're also running our concept of the 9-on-9 9-man football. So what we're doing is just adding the big man into the equation during the off season, try to bring something new so the big man is not left out or being separated from the skill guys. Also giving that QB a real look with pressure coming towards him, where you have to step up in the pocket, go through his progressions. You had the O-lines communicating, practicing how to communicate with each other on blitzes and stunts and who they got, and you got your D linemen working on their craft, on getting to the backfield and stuff like that. And especially with the big thing with the linebackers during the off season, try to create good habits of make sure you read the run before just dropping back into a pass. And then the biggest factor I think of it is the coaching. Now you get to run schemes and stuff like that. Now you're just actually going out there coaching and make sure, the schemes that you're running are what you want to run during when it comes to the fall. So that's what we're doing with Project 9, trying to get that going for the off season, something new to the table and get it going.
Awesome, Coach. Want to thank you for getting us update on that. But also there's a few things that we run through. We'd like to give a quick shout out to the family and the business, RTG, ready to go. So when you're ready to do it, it starts to having to grab all kinds of different seasons. It's all one shot there. So want to congratulate the wife, the son, the daughter-in-law, just for the work you guys are doing, the consistency that's with the RTG. Along with shout-outs, we want to give a shout-out to Milo, Johnny, Kuya, the family out there for Por Vida Coffee out there in San Diego, the 619. I know Mr. Rivas knows a little bit about the Por Vida because he's a 619 alumni, baby, a 619 alumni. And also, what are we doing with Take a Knee? What we're doing with Take a Knee is Take a Knee's involved now. I'm involved 3 miles down the street. I got to head west instead of an hour and a half south. So about a 5 to 6 minute drive, and I'm on the field at University of Laverne with Coach Creek. Give me an opportunity to come back home, and man, it's been a joy. I kind of felt like on the field the other day. I felt like a young guy when I got home, and I realized how old I am. But I see Coach Creek's on, and I just want to thank you, Coach, for giving myself an opportunity to get back home. Thank you very much. And we wouldn't be able to be here, guys, if it wasn't for one gentleman who just re-signed. His value has been embraced back at Baltimore, so he's back on track again. Tony Jefferson's right now, what he's doing, what he's got to do is he's getting ready for the season. Once it stops, it starts again. That's what professional football players do. But what he does very well is he gives back, and he gives us an opportunity to share and to give us an opportunity to do what we came to do tonight. And what we came to do tonight is introduce not just a coach, we're introducing the coach, Mr. Cesar Rivas-Sandoval. Straight out of the 619, Mexican-American. I'm excited to see just all those commonalities that we have, and to be able to bring him on and knowing that he's just not a coach, he's a pillar. He's a pillar in all the places that he's gone through. So, he's the head coach at Southeastern University out in Florida. Cesar's just not just how you would say, just a football coach. He's an educator. He's a mentor. More importantly, though, Cesar's a dad. Cesar's a husband. He's a son, and he's got a lot of things that he ables to work. I imagine probably one of your favorite games got to be Tetris, because you know how to place everything where it needs to be placed. To be able to be a head coach and do what you do, and then come out of the way that you've come out of things. I mean, you've been on top. You've done some things with the Bill Walsh program that gets you into the NFL. You've traveled around and changed some lives. But I think the most important thing is you're grounded, you're rooted. And when you're rooted, you maintain and embrace those habits from the heart. And it's exciting to put this show together and just to recognize that you're just not a coach.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You're kind of like the Godfather back in the 619 too. Not trying to date Coach Coco here, but I've got buddies that are older than me that were holding his headset back when he was coaching at Sweetwater High School back in the day, for Coach Alem and all those guys, when they were going on runs. So when I first got to a chance to jump into the industry and ran into Coach Coco, he's a legend. So that speaks for itself. Everyone's lucky to have you.
And that's nice of you to say that. But we're here for you to share what you do, because the name of the program is Transitions, and it's the pivots. And what's crazy about that thing is there's a lot of them that happen, and there's people out there that are stuck right now, and they're how you say they're plateaued, Coach. And when you're plateaued, you're just bouncing off, and you're finding the reason why you're plateaued. And you're trying to let that reason be the reason why you can't go forward. But it's not what you've done. It's not what you've done in any phase of your life. You went from hilltop to where you're going to go. In your mindset, you said, I want to be a coach. You ended up knowing down the road you're going to be a family member. But the coolest thing about it all is wherever you went, you left your fibers. But you embrace fibers also. And that's what great coaches do. They say the best coaches are the best thieves in the world, but they're the ones that turn it into their own gig. Right. And you've been able to do that, Coach, and land some head coaching jobs. But the success that comes with it is incredible. Coach, you were named the Coach of the Year, championship I think within 2 or 3 years of getting the job at Southeastern University. And to me, that's exactly why you're who you are. That's why you're Mr. Cesar Rivas-Sandoval.
Oh, shoot.
So if you can, Coach, just touch base on us on real quick. Who inspired you to want to be a coach out of high school? Get that thing done real quick and talk about college, and then we want to talk about the big picture for you and all that. We know the big picture is really the seat that you're sitting in right now. But how did we get there?
Well, I appreciate the lineup that you just drew right there for everybody. You're too nice, too kind. I'll tell you this, that you said we steal like great ideas, and I'm no different. I tell everybody every day, I beg, borrow, and steal ideas. That's what we do. And you try to formulate it to create your own identity to it, put your own blueprint on it. But nothing that I do right now is unique to me. It's all great ideas by some great people. And what inspired me, you said, being Mexican American, but I'm 50% Mexicano and 50% Nicaraguense as well. So my dad was born in Nicaragua. He immigrated here when he was young. And so I'm first generation born on my dad's side of the family here. So there's a lot that goes with that. There's a lot of pride that goes with that. There's a lot of firsts for myself and the family. But I didn't grow up as a football guy. I grew up, my dad was a soccer fan, like a lot of folks in our family, and baseball. And that was the deal. And then when I gravitated to football later on, I loved football as a kid, but I was too small. I was just typical little runt and little bitty guy. And then I kind of hit a little growth spurt between my junior and senior year. But I'll tell you what, somebody that really inspired me was Filippo Napoleon, who actually is a Sweetwater guy who really well. And he took me under his wing, and it was very inspiring. He was a guy that didn't have to. He was young. I was just a wet behind the ears little teenager, and he used to pick me up every Saturday morning and take me to the park, whether it was a park or a stadium or just anything with grass, and had me running drills. And this was before there was trainers. This was before 7-on-7s. This was before anything. I mean, we're talking like 1991, 1992. I mean, we're talking a long time ago. And just out of the goodness of his heart, and he thought he saw something that was inside of me, and he didn't know if I was going to be any good. And he just, he treated me like family. And ever since then, he's been nothing but family to me. So he was the best man at my wedding, and he's a little older than me, and not too much older, but just out of sheer obligation, I felt like, I've got to pass that torch on to other people. So one of the things that I take a lot of pride in now is coaching coaches and trying to instill that heart into to other young men that get in the profession.
That's awesome that you would say that, because truly that's what Take a Knee is. It was built just to coach coaches. Take a knee, you taking a knee, and we're taking a knee right now, and I'm going to absorb some of your fibers, you're going to absorb some of mine, and at that phase we're bonded. And truly that's what coaches do. So I found a way that TAK time all the time. I say it all the time for 20 years. So that's truly accepting knowledge. And what you're doing as a young coach, I was embraced too as a young coach. Gene Alem and Dave Tipton would take me to, I met Bill Walsh when I was 23 years old. Those kind of guys, and flying around and doing clinics with them. To me, awesome. I was like, wow. My friends, when I told them I was going to clinic, they thought I was sick. They thought I was going to go to the hospital for something I shouldn't have been doing. And I go, no, it's not that. Then I got into it. I got hooked, and now sharing it, and to hear you say that, I'm taking it to another level. I'm coaching coaches. I mean, like, wow, that's like a fraternity, coach. I love that you said that, and when you look at that whole thing, and you look at the big picture, and the big picture, and now you're a coach, and then you had aspirations to not just be a regular position coach, and in that whole big picture, you're probably thinking, okay, now I'm in college. I played some college ball. Now I want to go out. I want to get it done. What am I going to do for a living? And you said, I'm going to coach. So you somebody inspired you. But then also, if you looked at the picture we just had, if we could pop that thing up again, what's cool about that one is, somewhere down the road, a family is going to come by, right? Mm-hmm. So within that whole big picture, can you just kind of guide us a little bit at what drove you to want to be that guy and lead into this area?
Well, I'll tell you this, that talk about inspiring people in my life. Ed Riffalato gave me my first opportunity to be a full-time coach, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I went to UC Davis, and we didn't have GAs. Everybody was volunteer coaches. Once you graduated college or you're a part-time guy, I think we only had 4 full-time guys when I was there as a player up and through 1999. And so I didn't know any different. And so when I said, I think I want to get into coaching, I dipped into the high school ranks first. And I didn't know how to get into the college deal. And another 619 guy, Jorge Munoz, a Hilltop guy, Southwestern College guy, as you know.
I coached him.
Yeah, I know. And he actually was home getting married and said, "Hey, I just took an offensive coordinator job at a D3 school out in Indiana. And I had just finished my first year coaching at Hilltop High School. And he said it didn't pay very much money. I think it was like 400 and something bucks a month for like 9 months. It was something ridiculous. And I said, I'll take it. Justin Schaefer, I think, was the first option at the time. And he turned it down, and I was his roommate, and I totally lucked into it. And so I flew halfway across the country, literally, for my first college job. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. It was a lot of work for very little pay. But then I got the itch. And when you get the itch, there's just nothing like it. I mean, there's just not. When you get the coaching itch, there's the only thing that satisfies the coaching itch is to continue to do it and learn and get better and grow. And then the nerve-wracking part is like, oh man, I got to start making some money if eventually someday I want to get married and have kids. And so I got to get my master's. And so that's when you start chasing the education part. If you really want to make a run at it, for a real run at it. And so I did. And that led me to going back and coaching at Southwestern College. And that's where I met my wife. Actually, she was in San Diego at the time, and we were both working one of our, 5 different jobs at the time, because coaching's not paying the bills. And then we got together there, and then she took off with me around the country. And my first full-time job was at Fort Lewis College with Ed Rifalato. And the best recommendation he ever made to me was, hey, before you get married and before you start having a family, you got to learn as much ball as you possibly can. So just grind and be in early, leave late, watch as much film as you can, travel around and meet people and clinic, like you said, and just grow that knowledge base, because when it is time to settle down and start a family, you're going to want to be present for some moments. And I think that was some of the best advice I ever got. I can't tell you that I took all of that advice, because there's been moments definitely in my career where, football reigns supreme. And I'll share that with you if later on, but I made football the priority versus family. And then you realize, like, man, that's not how this thing should be rigged. Yeah. It needs to be family first. And then football is something that comes after all that, when you're doing all the other family stuff right.
Actually, I think that's a great point, which, what leads into, so you make that choice of football, which is cool. And then there's going to always be the whys that come out of it. Like, well, why am I doing this where I could have been doing that? And why am I? But right. you tend to be hooked and you go in there. I think we're looking at number 10, right? So when you get into that why, and what we're showing right now is your whys are just the harmonic steps that he's set for you. And one of the whys is because, hell, you were the coach of the year. And it shows that all that stuff that you did, Coach, all the way through to that point right there is why. And I looked at that picture that we're looking at right now, and I went, this is exactly why he's doing this thing right here. He's leading, he's right there, and you said it. You said, eventually you got to recognize that family's first, and then it's going to be football, because I want to be present.
Right.
And that's awesome that you use that word itself.
I think that even with what you said and accolades and whatnot, those are just a byproduct, I think, of just hopefully you feel like you're doing your family and your career justice by doing it the quote unquote the right way. And the right way is different for everybody, I think. And getting coach of the year or winning the conference, that's a team collaborative effort. That has nothing to do with me. It really does. And I think it has to do with that. Hopefully I have some sense about to surround myself with good people. But that is more about all the coaches on staff and the players we had. I mean, I hired a defensive coordinator really late in the summer, and he turned out to be the conference assistant coach of the year. And that's a big reason why I even got any kind of acknowledgement with any kind of awards at the end of the year, is because of that man. And then the collaborative effort of everybody on staff, offensively, defensively, GAs. And then we have some great players. I mean, don't make any mistake. You can't win some football games, and you don't win conference titles and things like that without players.
Exactly.
So we had some really, really good football players. And so sometimes I think the coaching magic is just stepping back and getting out of the way sometimes.
Well, that's the magic. Sometimes you have to. You're right. You have to take a humble seat. I hung out on the sideline at Centennial as a consultant there for 3 years and had nothing to do with anything except for watch a football game on a Friday night and chitter chatter during the course of the week. When you talk about the Lord want to put some humbling into somebody, and we'll talk about that one right there. But when I look at that whole deal, and I like that what you do is you're quick to recognize your help, not your helper. You're quick to recognize your team because, it's not about I. I say it all the time, the M and E in team is not me. It's more everybody, more execution, more education, more enthusiasm, just more of all of that, more enlightenment, more enrichment. And by stepping back, you give others the opportunity to fill that void with something special that they have to offer. So it all gets embraced, and I think that's what it comes down to. One of the things I embrace and just watching is you guys' senior day when you're giving back, and you had a lineup of all your players right there, and you can see that happiness. You can see how you guys. I think we're looking at girls. We're looking at number 13. Okay, so right there, when you take the pictures with those kids and their family, and that's what it. You hit it on the nose on one of your interviews. You talked about when they leave here, they leave with a degree from Southeastern University. No one can take that away. Right. And that grind from making that commitment to that point of that, you walking them out, I look at that as giving back to the community. But when you're doing that, Coach, how does that feel inside? Not just for you, but also, with the families and how do they embrace that they trusted you with their kid? It might have been like, okay, we lost the coach. Now we got this new coach coming in, and then all of a sudden, they get a Cesar Rivas.
I think you can't talk about that and answer that question without somehow addressing your faith, or my faith specifically. I think that, God's purposed me to do something unique, and only the way I can do it. Everybody has their own purpose and their own way of doing it. You have yours, and coaches have theirs. I think for me, I think God put it on my heart that said, hey, I want to build a genuine relationship with my kids. I want to make sure that they know that their goals and aspirations that we have for them are beyond football. That football is just a byproduct, or it's just a means to get to the end for us. And that's the way we talk about it all the time, that winning and losing is just a data point. I truly mean it. I think that was really hard for people to grasp. I think when I first got here, because I stepped into a really good situation already, and the winning was already happening. And it said, no, wait, we're going to graduate our players. We're going to worry about GPAs. We're going to worry about doing the right things off the field. We're going to be, there was a lot of non-football, quote unquote, non-football related stuff that we were talking about. And I think that, if you have that humble heart and you say, hey, this is going to be more than just football, and you keep treating it like that every single day, and then you have great people that are surrounding yourself that can continue to breed that message and that culture within your program and around on campus in general, then you got a chance to create some great relationships. And that's what we talk about all the time. God created us to have two relationships, one with him, one with other people, period. It's it, real simple. And if we can keep it real simple like that, and that's the way we lead as coaches, and from me all the way to like I said, all the way down to our volunteer coaches, and everybody's preaching the same thing, the same mission, and we're very selfless about it, then now we got a shot at changing lives. And that's what we want to do. That's our, if you hear us preach, and we do a lot of preaching here, not just because we're a private Christian school, but just in general, that's just what we do. Is as we talk about, I ripped this off from Azusa Pacific and Victor Santa Cruz, building champions while pursuing championships. And then we're going to create this life transformational experience. And if you're not in this for something other than football, then there's no way you can transform lives, because transforming lives is something that you talk a lot about, Coach Coco, but this legacy, right? That word legacy is thrown around a lot, and it's leaving someplace far better than you found it, and it's far outlasts your duration of life, and that's what we try to instill in our players, our coaches, and if we just come to work with that mindset every single day, we're actually going in the right direction.
That's awesome that you would talk about the forms of just how you posture you guys' self amongst the community, amongst your campus fellow students, and that just that posturing is a displayment of giving back to a community, and they get to see that, and it rubs off on them, because what you guys are doing out there, every one of you, coaches, players, athletic trainers, somebody wants to replace that. Someone's going to end up going there. They want to get that same degree. They want to get that. They want to have that same experience. And when you provide that type of atmosphere, and they get to literally see it and authentically and genuinely know that that's a part of a fiber that you guys are building, my hats off to that. I think that's incredible, because people say all the time that too much talking of the word is too much. What are we doing here? Well, what are we doing here?
You're right. Well, we just say, hey, it takes a village. It takes a village to run to do this thing right. We need everybody's help, but then we also got to create fishermen. We got to teach these kids how to fish. If we don't, they'll follow what we're asking them to do to a certain degree for a certain period of time, but they're not going to be around us forever. And I tell these guys when they walk in the door, some of these guys, we might have them for 5 years because they redshirt. Some it might be 4. Some guys it might be a semester. You just don't know how long you have them. And with the transferring nowadays and everything else, and grad transfers that are coming in, guys that are transferring out, transfers that got there and they're there for 2 years, or a true freshman when he walks in the door and he's 17 years old. Even if it's the longest duration of time of 5 years, it's still very small in the grand scheme of things. And so you've got to start affecting change within that human being immediately. And so we tell our guys, if you're not willing to change, you're in the wrong spot. And I remember that being from home back in the day, and I don't know if you guys have any kind of relation to this too, but if you went away and you came home and you weren't trying to participate in some of the shenanigans, people would tell you, you're not down anymore, and you're not, you've changed and you're different. And I tell our guys this all the time. Hopefully you've changed, and I hope you're different. Hopefully you're not the same human being when you walk out of our program that when you got here. If you're still that same guy and you're still doing the same stuff that you were when you were 17, that now that you're 22 or 23 years old, what are we doing with this time? This is all 100% transactional experience as a football program, and that's just not what we want.
Exactly, Coach. And just listening to all that, you talk about the legacy, and legacy comes in a lot of different forms. Right there, you're taking a knee and outright, you're giving it to where it needs to go. I think that alone, you are who you are, and when you walk your walk, people are going to see it, and if it's authentic and genuine, they're going to be able to, embrace it. But now that you kind of settled in that first half of a football game, what your program and what your coaches is working towards, right? Then you have a wife and family, Coach, and you of all guys, you're a dad girl. You're a girl dad. However, and
I messed that up. Hey, I messed that up in a post-practice speech just the other day. When my players had to correct me. I said the same thing. I'm a girl dad, or I'm a dad girl, or something like that. He goes, Coach, I think you mean this. And I said, yeah, that's it. You guys know what I meant.
Yeah, so exactly that. But to me is, they have it right. You got 4 girls that are embracing you. They're beautiful. They're all gorgeous, and you're a nice looking guy yourself, Coach. So I think you got a beautiful family, and I wanted to pull that out, because I know when you get into a halfway point of your life, a lot of your things that were once ahead of there, they start to fall way down there. That don't make them less important. They just make something else more important, So I think the cool thing is that, and then, when you get into halftime, you really got to address everything as a football coach that's under your umbrella to make sure you go out in the second half and you do things right. You don't want to bring a couple of things that you've done in the first half to the game in the second half. So let's say we go in there 0-0, we got to start brand new, right? So one of the things and looking at is and also talking to you, I know it's a touchy deal, but I was looking at on a deal with that you had out there, and you're promoting Coaches Against Cancer, and you had, I think it was Oscar Rodriguez might be the name that
Yep.
that came up, and then you had a little footage there with you and your dad, you know,
Yep.
and then you know, you talk about cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. I'm from a huge family, and I think there's somewhere in the 30s that we have family members that had cancer, and there's like maybe 15, close to 20 that have passed away. But I was surprised at the commonality that we have within each other, that you fell in the same boat, and I know when that touches your soul, you really get to reflect back to really readjust your values and readjust your importance. Can you just touch base on that whole thing? Because I know it affected your family. And Coach, I know I can see the kind of guy you are when you come home or when you're in a family event. You're probably that guy that has extremely causative matter. Meaning when you walk into the room, things change. So they look at you to always be the guy, Mr. Healthy, Cesar's this guy, you know, and we're vulnerable, we're human. And it touched you, and how did that affect you?
I mean, it rocks you. It really does. When you know you're everybody says you're young and you're healthy and you're in shape, and you know, the first one was obviously a couple friends of mine that were going through it first. Oscar Rodriguez being the first. He was young. He was in his early 30s, and then Donnell Liamidi, who just passed away 2 Julys ago, another good friend of mine. He was the defense coordinator at CSU Pueblo, passed away from cancer. And my dad was diagnosed in 2014, right after I had just gotten to APU. And then my mother-in-law soon after that. And then, as you kind of alluded to, I've gone through my stint here just recently, as well, you know, and just being diagnosed and just I'm about 6.5 weeks outside of surgery just right now as I sit here. And so, you know, it rocks you. I feel like sitting here now, I'm handling it a lot better because it's happening to me than I handled it when it was going on with other people in my life. I think I took it harder then. But I will say this: it does give you a lot of perspective. It allows you to refocus yourself on what's really important. I think at that time in my life, I wanted to make family the most important thing. Back in 2014, that's why I took the job at APU and moved back to California and stopped chasing the career and the dream and the job and the money, and said I want to be a family guy. And that was right before we had our third child. My dad was diagnosed with cancer, and but I was able to be around and be present. And I think that's, for me, what I want to continue to strive to be, is just being present. And I'm not perfect, and I don't get it always right. And as men, we screw it up a lot, and we only learn through pain. As some wise coaches around me for the last years, about the last decade or so, have reminded me that we only learn by screwing something up. And so I've screwed up plenty, and I continue to learn. But I think right now, I think the big thing is just being present, and it's totally changed my outlook on what the most important thing is. It's not about coaching the NFL anymore. It's not about making, $5 million a year and the title and all the other things. Those things are nice, and it's really nice when people pat you on the back. But I think the priority isn't to impress people that don't love me the way my family loves me. And I think the people that matter the most are those are the people that you need to impress. And so every day I'm just trying to impress my 13-year-old, which is freaking tough. I'll tell you what, try to impress a 13-year-old day in, day out. I can impress my 5-year-old, but trying to impress my 13-year-old is hard work. And so it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort for that. And I look at my wife some days and I'm like, man, what did I do? Can I get her to give me a hug now? Can I get her to just tell me she loves me, or give me a kiss goodnight, acknowledge me when I walk in the door, And so I know I'm painting a bleak picture, but it really is, going through this whole cancer deal that I have recently has just been reconfirming what I kind of already knew. but it's driving the message home loud and clear that, you know, need to make the main thing the main thing.
You know, Coach, in listening to you and hearing you, I know when it's time for the referees to come into the locker room and say, okay, we got to get the captains out because halftime's ready, you know, we're ready to get out there. So getting into the second half of that, what is next for Coach Rivas in the second half of your life? You know?
Well, my wife would say it was, we like to have goals. And so she's
16.
great for this for me. So we'll have like a 1-year goal, 3-year goal, 5-year goal. And then we kind of reevaluate and we do that. And so my wife came to me a little earlier than New Year's this year. She came in towards the end of football season and said, hey, I feel like our mission in 2022 needs to be health. And at the time, she had no idea about what I was, you know, some of the cancer stuff that was going on with me. And she said God had put it on her heart. And so our short-term goal this next year is just going to be our health, our family health. And, you know, I don't know what God has in the books from a work or a career or professional standpoint, but I know I'm here right now. And, I know our health is the priority, getting us right. And then just having balance within the family and keeping the family the number one priority and serving us as a, you know, as community here. So if I can pull that off in the short term, I'll be a happy camper. And right now it's kind of just day to day. So today was a good day.
That's right. It's like emoji. It says knowledge.
Knowledge is power. There you go.
Yeah, knowledge is power. That you know,
yeah.
And I think what you just passed on and the seed you just dropped was incredible knowledge, because I can remember when I got sick, and I had these aspirations to do a lot of things, and really never recognized that everything that I wanted to do, I've been doing it all my life.
Right.
And at that point, I remember going in the backyard and just saying, you know, Lord, give me an opportunity just to do this the rest of my life. And I'm happy with what you've already given me. But it's right then and there where I just really embrace life, you know, and not trying to go get something, because whatever the life that I have, I knew that he placed in front of me not to harm me, but just make sure that I do, you know, he's going to help me, guide me for my purpose, you know, for what I'm supposed to do. And ever since then, it's been a different journey. You know, I'm able to get a, you know, it is, Coach, sir, all of us, we're able to put shorts on and say we're going to work.
Yeah.
You know, and changing lives, you know, where kids can call and ask them, and really that's what it all is. Well,
I ask all coaches every year, probably at least twice a year, at the beginning of the season, and then again probably in the spring. It's like, why do you coach and why do you stay in coaching? Because sometimes we deviate, we grow away from our original purpose of why we got into coaching as you start to do this for a while. So you asked about my halftime. It's, you know, why did I get into coaching 23 years ago? And then continue to ask myself every offseason, well, why do you keep coaching? Why do I keep coaching? Why do I keep coaching? And is it the same? No, it's different. It's changed dramatically over the last 22 and a half years, 23 years. I get up for game day, but I get up for preaching to a football team on a Monday just as much when I feel like it's going to have a lasting effect. So for me, it's just different.
Hey, Cesar, just real quick, in the second half of what we're doing right here, what we try to develop is in a sense is that finished mindset. You know, do the kids have that mindset in a sense where they're learning new things, or are we providing a rag to polish that finished mindset? You know, so when you look at that whole thing on your toolbox for in a sense for the future, there's been some influences that help down the road. So I'm gonna throw a few names out to you right here, and the first name I'm going to throw out is Philip Napoleon. Just touch base when you think of Philip Napoleon or see him.
What first comes to mind?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, big brother, and my protector. He was really my protector. As a kid, growing up, and as a young adult, he looked after me. I didn't have an older brother, and I didn't grow up around a lot of my cousins. They were up in the Bay Area, and so the Napoleon family and the crew of the Napoleon brothers and sisters there, that was my surrogate family. For a long time, I thought I might be. Everybody thought I was Samoan, not Latino. So I just went with it for the longest time. And back in the day when maybe I was a little bit more muscular and I was a little bit more fit, I got roped into it, and I let it ride too, because if everybody thought I was part of the Napoleon family, man, I was good to go. So yeah.
You know, that's the way I feel when I'm around a project group. They're all huge Polynesians, right? So I'm going like they're my bodyguards. They make me feel comfortable, make me feel safe.
Right.
I like that, Coach. Coach, I throw this out to everybody. Take a knee. When you hear take a knee, what do you think of?
I think of growing young coaches, or growing coaches in general. That's what I think of. I think you're ministering to a group of people that need it. I think that's, and you're doing it in a selfless way. And I know your heart, and so I feel like just knowing that there's people out there without another agenda. I think in today's coaching industry, everybody has an agenda for how to make profit, right? And when I think of Take a Knee, I think it's just a genuine brand that just brings people together to get better at what they do and to share knowledge. And I see you from working with the kids to coaching coaches on a whiteboard, and I think it's cool. And what you're doing right now it's awesome. It's awesome. So,
you know, Coach, we always say this. You know, are they ready for this? Are they ready for this? But you're able to do what you want to do. All of us guys that are on here right now, we're able to do what we want to do because we've got a supporting boss at home, and that boss is called wife, right?
Right.
So I'm throwing your wife's name out there. So when we talk about your wife, how influential, how much power does she have, Coach?
All of it. She's got all of it. I can't. This thing doesn't roll without her. It doesn't. That picture you're showing right there is, that's back in the day. That's like 20 years ago. She hasn't aged a bit. Only me. But I'll tell you what. She's so supportive. She's been an amazing coach's wife for all these years. And I use that in an endearing way because, she made the family the priority before I even did. I didn't even know what that looked like. So she's been a great role model for that for me. And then, in the back last 10 years or so of our marriage, she's been just such an influential person in my growth mindset and allowing, and actually not allowing, but making me be more positive. I think as coaches, sometimes we look at the glass as half empty. We're cynics. We're looking for the pitfalls and where the game plan is broken, and we're all our mistakes, and we're continually pointing out the flaws, right? Because we got to fix all those things. And my wife's really good about stop it, shut up. No, she doesn't use that word. We're not allowed to use that word with our kids, but she says stop and get your mind right, basically. And she uses some different choice words sometimes, and with me, a snap out of it. And, nothing good's going to happen from thinking negatively. You got to be positive about things. So my wife runs all that stuff. She's great about it. And so I've learned a lot. I learned a lot from her, and she's just very disciplined about it. She has to be. So from getting up in the morning and before everybody else and meditating to taking care of the kids and then holding down a full-time job to doing everything else. She's a rock star. So.
Well, it kind of feels like he's talking about all of our wives right here, because it seems that seems to happen. We wouldn't be able to do what we do and feel good and really in your face, not show stress if you didn't have that companion. I think that's awesome. Wherever you go, wherever country we go to, wherever city we go to, whatever school, whatever football field we're on, there's a different culture that happens within that arena, within that bucket. So walking into Southeastern University, Coach, they already have a culture that you had to embrace, but you had to add a couple things to that culture. You know, what are a couple things that when you're done, they're going to go, this is Coach Rivas right here?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think for us, what we really wanted to embrace was that we could be awesome we could be awesome at more than just winning football games. And I think that's what we were really I was trying to drive that note home when I first got here, which was we can make the faith component of our experience here amazing. We can grow young men in their faith and their spiritual journey in a big time way. We can make academics a priority. We don't have to make this a transactional experience where kids are coming here playing football and then leaving, and whether or not they graduate or not is up to them. No, it's up to us to lead and mentor them in that direction. I think that that's one thing I want my fingerprints to be all over here is just preparing these kids for life after football. That's really important to me. Really, really important to me. And that's, I want the reputation and the perception of what it is to be a football player to be more than just being a football player, if that makes sense. When they're here, it's about what kind of leaders are they growing up to be? Are they going back to their communities and being difference makers? Are they graduating and getting great jobs? Are they being great husbands and fathers? What kind of young men are we transforming here? It's a leadership incubator. We're sending them off into the real world, and they've got to promote change. And that's what I want my fingerprints to be all over here. If there's anything, it's not about the winning football games, championships, and trophies and awards and all that stuff. It don't matter. Nobody cares. I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but nobody really cares about how many conference championships or national championships we win here at Southeastern University. If you're back in the 619, nobody cares. If you're back in the 510, nobody cares. The 530, nobody cares. The 916, nobody cares about how much we win out in Florida. But what they do care about is whether or not we're building young men that when they're sending us kids, that they're going back as better men than when they got here, and that the kids that we're recruiting here in Florida, we're sending them back to their communities, a lot better in better shape than when they got here, and that's really important to me.
Awesome, Coach. We have James Winslow. James, how do you respond to what Coach just talked about right now in culture?
He said it perfect. He's building men. Talk about a superhero. I mean, he's a coach, family, daughters. That's some heavy workload right there.
Yeah.
And then he has the power to still be more interested in his players outside of football, building men, right? So that lasts forever. So when they pass football and they get into their lives and stuff, I'm sure they're going to reach back and say thank you, about the influence you gave to them, just like you've done for all of us. It's great to hear.
That's awesome.
Appreciate that.
We're in a phase of sudden change, because when you get into the second half, there's going to be some sudden changes, and when there's a sudden change, like a turnover, the first thing they're looking for is, where's that coach going to call a timeout, going to get us to the numbers? But we've got to get to somebody that can calm us down, and really when you get into a sudden change, we have it down that the foundation is what you can truly hang your hat on. At that phase is you've created a work to win mindset, Coach. And I think we got a picture up here that we want to talk about. It's that championship elevated vision on how do you instill this into your program, universal. Just that whole concept of, a work to win mindset, that championship mindset. You let those guys recognize that they're truly the ones that won the race of life. Someone said to me, Coach, can we bring you in that way you can help us create a finished mindset? I go, whoa, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I'll reacquaint you with the finished mindset that he placed upon you in the race, because you're the only one that won the race. And then from there, use 8 hours of sleep to get yourself greater. Make your bed. at least you start off finishing something. But that's the closest thing I'm going to get to a finished mindset, in creating. I'm going to reacquaint them to the finished mindset they already have. That way they can embrace that. So on your work to win mindset, Coach, how do you instill that into your program?
It's interesting. We probably had, if I'm going to be transparent with you, we probably had the worst spring football practice ever yesterday. So, and I'm saying that, and I'm chuckling right now because you just use that as a teachable moment, and the message in post practice. So we also have a word of the day. So we finish. I like incorporating all my coaches into preaching in the front of the room or in front of the group throughout spring football. So yesterday I felt kind of bad because we had such a bad practice, and one of our coaches had the word of the day, and the word of the day just wasn't fitting for that kind of practice. So I kind of said, hey, you're going to talk next practice, and I'm going to handle this today. And it was the first time all spring that I did that. But one of the things that I harped on a big time was, and you showed that slide about building champions, was I said, champions don't take days off. They just don't. You're not allowed to. I think in today's, culture, we give so much of a pass, and whether we want to call it a pass or grace or whatnot, we just allow people to be okay with tapping out, and that's just not okay. And it keeps getting reconfirmed in social media over and over and over again now. Chase the bag, and we're playing for envelopes, and we're, how much are you getting paid? And I'm going to get paid, and all this other stuff. And to me, it's just rhetoric. It's just all noise. Yeah. And I'm trying to clear their minds from all the noise that's out there and say, no, it's not okay to tap out. It's not okay to quit. It's not okay. You can't take a day off if you want to be amazing at whatever your craft is, whatever it is that you want to do in your life. Champions don't take days off. They just don't. And if you want to be elite, this is what it takes, and you got to keep working. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to fail. It just means that you just don't quit. And that's, I think, something that was instilled in me. My dad worked for like 11 years or 12 years after retirement age. He didn't have to. He just was like, this is what I do. I just work. Right. And I think he instilled that in me at a really young age, and my mom, the same thing. And that's what I'm trying to convey to them is that, you talk about the mindset. It's all in your mind. Your mind's the one that tells your body when to quit. That's it.
Awesome. Coach, the presence of adversity, mm-hmm. It's everywhere. And how do you leverage your strengths as a GPS for those younger kids? When that adversity comes, you find that, what do you find to be able to get them back on track?
Well, we had a 3-part slogan last year with our team, and it was step 1 was we're going to get 1% better every day. Real simple. Just kept it real simple. 1% better every day. Yeah, I don't need 10%. I had somebody walk up to me, hey, what about 2%? Nope, 1%. That's it. Just 1%. Get better at one thing out of 100 things that you do today. Just get better at one. That's it. And then number 2 was embrace adversity. And again, this one came to me just in the middle of the night one night. It was one of those, you wake up in the morning, 3:00 in the morning wakes you up, and man, I got to write this thing down. And it's not about overcoming adversity as much as it is just addressing that there's going to be adversity first. So adversity is there. I'm going to embrace it. Okay, I'm welcoming it. All right, let's go. Today's going to be tough. At some point today's going to be hard. We've got a game. At some point in time, it's going to be hard during this game. I'm getting married. Some point in time during this marriage, it's going to be difficult. I'm going to have kids. Oh my goodness, it's going to be hard. I'm going to welcome that. And then what we're doing with the embracing the adversity part, right after that, step 3 is just flip it and compete. That's it. It doesn't say flip it and win. And I know there's a lot of fancy slogans out there that'll say, hey, just win, baby, and win today and everything else. That's great, but it just for me, and when you're asking for that nugget and what I give these kids, it's get 1% better every day, embrace adversity, and at the end is just flip it and compete. Because if you don't compete, you got no shot. That's what I tell them too. Like, it doesn't matter. That's the whole thing of champions don't take days off. If you keep at it long enough, that's what we call our process now. the process of not quitting, the process of flipping it and competing, the process of embracing adversity, the process of getting 1% better, the process of not tapping out and going to work every single day. And you can apply that to everything. You can apply that to, our jobs as teachers, our jobs as coaches, our jobs as nurses, as doctors, as parents. And, that's for us, that's the nugget I give to the kids. And they've really embraced it. If I didn't have such a welcoming group that was welcoming for taking coaching in that way, it wouldn't be possible to pull off what we did last year.
Awesome. Coach, here at the transitions, at the Take and Eat transitions, halfway through our programs, we're always talking about, they're going to drop some nuggets, some gems are going to come and get them. Come and pick them up. And then we realize down the road that nuggets and gems were just they're fragments of something that was once great. So, in looking at that, what we started to do right around, I think, show 13, we started to talk about the seeds that's been dropped. And what you've done so far in the show, you dropped an immense amount of seeds. Eventually, people are going to start watering those seeds, and they're going to start to grow, and we're going to be able to harvest. And really, that's what you're doing. And I talk about seeds, the acronym for it, the S is your soul, and just you being up there, you can see that you have an incredible soul. And I know in the E part of it, you get to enlighten your soul, you get to enrich your soul, and you dedicate yourself to your soul. And then you sacrifice for your soul. So that's the way I look at you in seeds. And really, that's your legacy, because that's the fiber that's the value that you bring out, because you get people to nourish themselves and then they elevate. They're not stuck in a plateau. You have that about you, and it's awesome, Coach.
Appreciate that.
In every football game, there's 2 minutes left. And we're at that stage right now. And how do you handle deadlines, Coach? Peacefully, when they're yours or not yours, but they're just plain ass due. And you know what I mean? And in today's thing, because we had to deal so much with COVID and all this cognitive damage that's been going on with our youth. So you have to be able to look into every segment on deadlines. If they're not done, why did they take place? I've talked to a guy, and he said, I was so upset with one of my workers, I reared into him, but I didn't even realize that his sister died of COVID.
Oh.
So in today's world, like I say, how do you handle your deadlines?
It's funny you showed that picture of Fort Lewis right there. That was my first head coaching job. And,
put that back.
That was a crash and burn. You can't talk about my growth today without bringing that up. That was, oh my goodness, I was a horrible head coach back then. That guy, I don't even recognize him, because when you talk about deadlines, I thought I had to do everything and micromanage everything. And, I came from the school, if you want it done right, you do it yourself. and it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. So if you're comparing that picture to the guy that you see in front of you now, that guy back then to today, is the growth is just surrounding myself with great people and trusting those people to do their job and training them to do a great job. I think that's the other thing. You can trust people to do a great job, but if you don't train them the right way, it don't matter. The result's still the same.
Yeah.
It's still going to be a crash and burn. And so for me, it's prioritizing and then reprioritizing every day when I walk in. I think my calendar, I've got my soft calendar on Google, and then I've got my hard calendar on my, and shoot, I'll even show you this. I've got my trusty little calendar here. It's right next to my laptop, and I write it in both places, and I prioritize and I reprioritize every day. And I'm training up a young DFO, a 619 kid, actually a Saints kid, is out here as my GA, and Andres Padilla. And every day we talk about prioritizing yourself, make your list, make your to-dos Monday through Sunday, and then reevaluate what you got done, and then reprioritize again. And so on my door, when you walk in through my door, on my wall, and I never erase it. It's been up there for almost 2.5 years now in my office. And it just has, number one is the things I have to do. And then it's the things I want to do, the things I'd like to do, and then long-term goals. And every day I just I go through my to-do list and I reprioritize it. And I have to be okay with certain things not getting done. And then things that can't get done by me in a reasonable amount of time have to be delegated to. And then I have to be okay with the product that gets put out there by somebody I delegate it to. Because if I delegated it to them because I didn't have time to do it, it was either not going to get done or it was going to get done in some sort of other way. And if I'm not happy with that other way, then I need to shut up because it wasn't going to get done over here because I didn't have enough time to do it. So, I mean, that's probably the easiest, most fun way I can put about it. And I ripped that off, that 4-step process. I totally ripped that off from my father. He was a county supervisor for the county of San Diego in social services. And I don't know where he got that from, but I totally ripped that off of him and his desk years ago. And I never used it, never really applied to it or let it apply to me until 2020 and COVID hit. And I was so overwhelmed. And I found this notepad in my files. I was going through all this crap in my desk when unloading, your new desk and got all these boxes and stuff. And I found it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my father's. And I took it out and I wrote it on the board. And I've been looking at it every day that I walk in my office ever since.
Well, Coach, sometimes it takes months and years to finally water that seed.
Mm-hmm.
And look at that. You got senior Rivas putting it down like that. Then you get to pick it up, and that's truly a blessing right there because it was ready to get harvest. So I think that's cool, Coach. We're down to the last play of the game. When you got the last play of the game, is what do you leave for those to resonate on for the elevation and their journey to enhancement for their program? Like a lot of people, they want to leave a quote that's going to last a lifetime. To me, when people look at me, they just know that's TAK time all the time. And it's a done deal. But there's something that you say that resonates in somebody. What do you leave for your audience here, Coach? Inspiring coaches, kids that want to go on further, parents that want to trust in you. Put him back on. Here we go. Did we lose him?
Coach, I think his mic is muted.
Did you mute? Girls. Did we lose him?
Yes, we did.
Is Tony back? There he is. Are you back on, Cesar?
Muted. You're muted, Coach.
I think you're muted. Is your mute button on?
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's all right. Hey.
It's floor.
Time out.
It was timeout. Yeah, I got timeout.
Who got a timeout, Coach? You're the head coach. You told the ref.
You're lucky. My bladder's doing okay on this deal right now. No pun intended. I promise.
All right. So what do you leave for us to resonate on, Coach?
I just, I think that if we're talking to coaches right now, it's just really keeping the main thing, which is your faith. What are you embedded with? What drives you? What's your purpose? Find your why. Don't lose sight of that. No matter how much money you make or don't make in this business, and I don't stick your value on that. Stick your value on how much you affect lives, just like any other career, just like any other business. And I think that's what drives us to start this. And so I think it needs to continue in that way. And I know everybody needs to make a paycheck and pay the bills and pay the rent and put food on the table. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. But I feel that this is definitely a calling for people. Don't get into it if you're trying to make money. Do this because you're trying to affect lives. And if you can do that and make a living, then hey, you're really blessed. We are. I'm beyond blessed. Oh my goodness. And then don't let the career drive you. Let people drive you.
That's awesome, Coach. After Coach, you just saying that to me, that's a wrap. That's TAK time all the time. and we were able to take a knee with Cesar Rivas,
Yes,
Mr. Sandoval himself. But, Coach, it was a blessing to have you on, and
Appreciate you.
and the seeds that you dropped, I know will be nourished, and we're going to be able to see that type of action, that type of posture down the road. Also right here, we once again want to thank Tony Jefferson for giving us that opportunity just to come out here and share Cesar Rivas-Sandoval with everybody out there. And we also, for our next show, it's going to be on I believe it's the 27th. We'll be having Coach Boyda and a group from Canada on, because we'll be heading out to Canada on that weekend. So we want to be able to get them up and running. And once again, we just want to thank Coach Rivas for being on the show, guys. Thank you very much. Coach Cesar, you got anything to finish up with?
No, appreciate it, Coach. You did drop some seeds, man, and it was good to hear. So
yes,
we appreciate you, and can't wait to meet you when we get that chance.
Well, I look forward to coming on down there to Southern California and hanging out with you guys, fellas. That's home, and I'll be out there recruiting. I'm definitely gonna hit you guys up. And
Right.
but I will say I really appreciate what you're doing, Coach Coco and Ty and Coach Sora. I do. I appreciate you guys and what you're doing here, and that we need more men like this out in the communities, planting seeds. Like you said, you never know. We might all be gone and in dust by the time those seeds start really flourishing, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it, and do it with a smile on your face and a skip to your step. And this is fun. I mean, we got to keep this thing rolling. So I appreciate taking a knee, Coach Coco, and what you're doing. You're, like I said, it's your name came up with even Justin Schaefer today. I was like, hey, you can tune in. He's like, man, I know I used to carry that guy's headset back in the day. He's like, he's still doing it. I said, yeah, and he looks great. I said, man, he looks better than you do.
Yeah, when you mentioned his name, I was like, oh my God, I remember Justin Schaefer when he would hold the chords for me, and then I ended up coaching him at Southwestern College too.
Right.
So we went from a chord boy to a.
And you're still doing it, Coach. You're still doing it. You're still planting those seeds, and years later, you get people like us that are continuing to stay in the business. So,
I'll tell you what, Cesar, when you come back down to California, we can maybe set up a trip down to San Diego and get some coffee at Puerto Vida, and that'll be cool. But if you want to come down after 4th of July sometime, and my whole backyard is getting redone, so it's going to be like it'll be nice, and we would love to have you and the family over.
Oh, you never have to threaten me with a good time, so we're good.
Awesome. And then we could get Lipo up. It'll be fun. But just once again, want to thank you. You're an incredible person, and your transitions that you've gone through, people are going to embrace them. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Much love. Much love.
Tag time, all the time, all the time. Tag time, all the time. Come on. Tag time, all the time, all the time. Tag time, all the come on. I take a knee, I take a kid and make him see, make him believe in chasing his dreams and destiny. Truly accept the knowledge, a part of the recipe. In order to have an impact, I first must invest in me. We sowing seeds, locally, globally, overseas. Integrity, dignity, yeah, we living by both of these. The seeds of my players had to take a knee to COVID thieves. The police keep taking knees on our neck, how we supposed to breathe. Now look at me, I'm leading the movement like Booker T. Let's look at the aftermath when Kaepernick took a knee. When MLK took a march, Coretta Scott took a seat. I look defeat in the eyes and I declare victory. I'm fucking long, I go for the gusto, that's 6 for me. Right when I cross the TD, I drop down and I take a knee. I'm giving God all the glory for giving the grace to me. Like I take a knee every morning and thank Him for waking me. I take a knee.
So I could talk again to them, right? Can you hear me, Coach?
Yeah.
So we're done. So here's what happens, Cesar. They'll email me the whole show, and then I'm gonna send